Hi everyone, this is Josh Borgmeyer, physical therapist with Balanced Body Rehab. We're talking about plantar fasciitis today. The reason I wanted to do this video is there's a lot of information out there about plantar fasciitis, and that's because it's a complex issue. It can be a very difficult area to treat, so we want to kind of break it down for you, describe what plantar fasciitis is, and then go through some different stages of treatment. Many different treatment options out there, so we're going to try to give you a big summary of what you can do. Number one, let's explain what it is. Plantar fascia is the ligament that runs from your heel all the way to the base of your toes here. And so it's actually the supportive structure of the bottom of your foot. It's a ligament, it's connective tissue. To get technical, it's type 1 collagen fibers that are really strong and hold us up. Whenever our muscles get weak in our bodies, say we don't have good strength in our core and our hips, or our foot starts to break down, that's whenever the plantar fascia can get inflamed. Or maybe it's overtraining as a runner or doing some new activity that you haven't done before, that ligament can get strained. And that's what plantar fasciitis is. It's a strained ligament. So whenever we're looking to treat it, we want to make sure that we're treating it appropriately for the stage of injury that it's in. Many people experience the pain of the whole plantar fascia. They just experience it mainly at the heel and its attachments. And that's commonly the way a lot of connective tissue works, is that it actually strains most where it attaches to the bone. And so most times people will have pain on the inside of their heel when they're experiencing that. And so on us, they're going to say, I have pain right there on my foot. And so ways to treat that then, the first phase, because the plantar fascia, because it's a ligament injury, we want to treat it like any other ligament injury. If you're going to sprain your ankle, what do? You put it in a brace right off the bat. So with the plantar fascia, it's the same way. But we have to walk on our feet all day, so that becomes difficult. There's lots of different options. You can wear orthotics, supportive custom orthotics, or even over-the-counter orthotics that fit your foot well, because that's going to support the arch of your foot and prevent that ligament from being stretched too much. Okay, you can do different types of taping to help support the foot as well. Definitely supportive types of shoe wear, and you can look into night splints at night to hold the foot up. Many times whenever you're sleeping, the covers will push your foot down and will shorten the plantar fascia at night. And then what happens is you get up in the morning, you step out of bed, and boom, you overstretch that fascia again and it gets irritated. So at night you can wear a supportive boot or a splint, a brand name is called a Strasbourg sock, where it attaches to your toes and then to your lower leg to support it and puts a constant light stretch on that fascia, so there's no surprise to the connective tissue in the morning. So all those are ways to protect the foot, and then obviously just rest. You won't be able to do activities that are inflicting pain on it. You might say, which ones can I do? It all depends on how severely it's injured. Okay, so use pain as your guide, because your pain is the body's mechanism to tell you if it's really getting more injured. And so use pain as your guide and increase your activity level based on that pain and therefore the inflammation. Let's assume that you have it's really inflamed, it's really painful, and in that stage you want to be careful with even such things as not walking too much. And so you want to limit the amount you walk, but you can walk distances that minimize the pain. But to improve your walking tolerance and distance, one of the things you can do to further rest the fascia is reducing stress on it. So one of the ways you reduce stress on the fascia is make sure all the joints surrounding the fascia are moving well. Meaning, if your ankle joint right here is not moving well whenever you walk and come over top of your foot, then your plantar fascia is going to be more strained every time you come over top of your foot. So one of the biggest things you can do to help out with your plantar fasciitis is loosening up your calf muscle. So you can use your hands to massage your calf muscles. You can use a massage stick or other tools, a foam roll, to really loosen up your calf. And then follow that with a good stretch to the calf. When you stretch your calf, I'm going to try to show you on the video here. When you stretch your calf, you want to have your foot in an arched position. If you're doing a stretch on your calf and you're letting your foot collapse like this, then that's going to be stretching your plantar fascia, not your calf, so it's not helping you. So keep your foot arched and come forward and stretch your calf. You might see a lot of different videos on the internet that have people hanging off a step to stretch out their plantar fasciitis. And that's okay in later stages, but in early stages you want to protect that so you're not overstretching the ligament. So make sure you're supporting your foot and stretching the calf muscles, which will then reduce stress on the plantar fascia, and that helps. Other components of protecting it are going to be ice. Okay, so you want to ice 2 to 3 times a day, especially after activity. One of the best ways to ice your foot is just to use a plastic water bottle and freeze it, and then you can roll that on the bottom of your foot just slowly back and forth to really numb the area. Do that for about 10 minutes, 3 times a day, and that really helps as well. Okay, so that's pretty much the protection phase. But at the same time, we want to protect it, we want to stimulate it gradually. Okay, and one of the ways you can stimulate it, and I got a few tools here, is you can use an instrument to lightly scrape the fascia of the foot. You can use the back edge of a butter knife, you can use some fancier tools like this, but you just get in here and just lightly stimulate that, okay? And you just lightly do that in the early stages when it's really inflamed, hitting those spots that are a little inflamed, and then in the areas that aren't inflamed, you can get a little deeper to really reorganize those collagen fibers and allow it to heal. And so that's good. And then otherwise you can use little balls like a golf ball, or I have this ball here, and you can roll it on the bottom of your foot, again to loosen up the fascia of the foot by loosening up. Say if I roll it towards the top of my foot, if I loosen up that pretty aggressively, then it's going to reduce the stress back here. When I get on that painful area, it might go a little lighter. Okay. And then other ways to loosen up the foot is just by taking your hand and manipulating the foot, making sure it's moving as it needs to, because whenever it's painful, the body tends to stiffen up, or the foot tends to stiffen up, and then we compensate in ways to make it stiff like that. So that is the protection phase. Next, as it starts to feel better, then we want to start doing more with it. So you advance your exercises progressively based on your tolerance, but just give you some quick, simple exercises to do. One of the best ways to stimulate the fascia is to go up on your toes. It's called the windlass mechanism. Whenever you go up on your toes like that, the fascia pulls all the way through here to increase the arch of your foot there. So that's a great stimulation to the fascia. If you do it too aggressively, it's going to overstress the fascia, but we want to introduce a good stress to the fascia to allow it to heal better. And so doing this in sitting, just like this, is a great way to start to stimulate that. And so you want to do a number of repetitions until it starts to feel a little uncomfortable, and then you're done. You don't try to overdo this day to day. If you've given it a good workout, then you wait a couple days, and then after a couple days, you do it again. So those same concepts are going to apply whenever I show you a few more progressions of this. So next, when you get up, once you've tolerated that in sitting, you can get up to standing and hang your foot off the edge of a step a little bit. And this is where we're getting, again, to that remodeling of the tissue. If it's not very painful, then you can do things like this. Hang your foot off the edge of a step and let that stretch a little bit, as long as it's not too painful. And then I'll show you with both feet here first. So if you're just trialing some of this, you want to try it out with both feet first and see if it's painful. So you might do 10 to 20 repetitions, and if it's not painful with that, then you can progress up to one leg. So really, there's no set number of repetitions that you need to do, but to remodel the tissue, you want to be at an intensity where you're doing 10 to 20 repetitions, and then taking a couple days break in between. The key is, to all the exercises you can do, you slowly increase stress to the tissue, and once it's painful, you back off and give it a little more rest, and then reintroduce it again and slowly increase that again, time to time. If you're a runner, then you start off with a gradual progression running sequence, or any other exercise you might do that might stress the plantar fascia. So, but there's lots of exercise out there, but that's the basics of it. So if you have any additional questions, give us a call.